Good day dear students. In this video we shall see about module 3 of Constitution of India and Professional Ethics and Cyber Law subject. We shall discuss about election process, the roles and responsibilities of Election Commissioner of India, and the process of appointment and the process of election in India. In this module, we shall see about the election process, election amendments and emergency provisions. In module 3, we will be having a clear idea on the electoral process and the roles and responsibilities of Election Commissioner of India. We shall in the second part discuss about the amendments and the methods that is allowed in the constitution for constitutional amendments. We shall see the various parts or various methods or instances that has been mentioned in the constitution as to how the amendment has to happen. In part 3 we shall discuss about the major constitutional amendments that has been done after independence and the recent amendments. In part 4 we shall see about the special provisions to women, to children, to backward classes, to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes and other backward classes that has been provided in the constitution. In the later stage we shall see about the emergency provisions that has been given and the types of emergency and how this emergency can be levied on the country and the authority that can be exercised during this process of emergency. In the last part of this module we shall see and learn about the local governance, that is municipalities, nagar panchayats, nagar palikas, and all these structures will be seen and understood in this module. So as seen in this slide, the electoral process of election or the election process we shall discuss in this part of the module. We shall see about the various procedures that are to be followed for the election process. So according to the constitution, the parliament has enacted the Representation of People's Act in 1950 and 1951, and the Representation of People's Act 1950 and 51 is prescribes the mode of election. It explains clearly how election has to happen, what are the procedures to be followed. All these things are mentioned in this People's Act of 1950 and 51 in detailed. Then the Delimitation Commissions Act that was passed in the year 1962 and 1972 for the delimitation of constituencies, that is, it demarcates the locations of the various constituencies. So which constituency comes, which area comes in which constituency, all these things are explained and mentioned in detail in the Delimitation Commissions Act of 1962 and 1972. So delimitation of the constituencies was done by the Delimitation Commission that was appointed by the President, and it was a process to form a delimitation commission after every census. So after every census, based on the population, the Delimitation Commission will decide what should be the size of the constituencies, what is the boundary of the constituency, and it will define the details for each constituency. So demarcation of the constituency has a general and reserved according to the population of that constituency. It depends on the population and the structure of the population of that particular constituency, and the decision done by this committee is final and nobody can challenge it in any of the court. So the decision by the delimitation commission is final and it cannot be challenged in any court. So the notification of election. So who notifies the election? So election notification is issued by the President of India. So President of India notifies or informs the election commission that the election has to be held for the Lok Sabha on the day and the particular date also. So it is the responsibility of the president to notify the election commission of the election process for the Lok Sabha. So the election notification is issued by governor of the state for the election of the Vidhan Sabha or the Legislative Assembly. So the governor decides about the election for the state or the state Legislative Assembly or the state Vidhan Sabha. And notification by the election commission regarding nomination and withdrawal. So who are the candidates? What is the last date for nomination? What is the last date for withdrawal? And how the candidates selection process, all these things are explained by or taken care by the election commission. So election commission announces the dates for filing of the nominations. They decide the date for withdrawal of the nominations. Election commission decides the date of filing of nomination papers by the interested candidates, and candidates have to file their nomination papers, and candidates belonging to various political parties will have to submit Form B that is issued by their party. So this Form B is issued by their party, which allows them the representation of the particular party in that respective constituency. So election deposit for Lok Sabha is rupees 10,000. Similarly, for Rajya Sabha also, for Vidhan Sabha also, there is a deposit amount and process which we shall see in the next slide. So just like how we saw the election deposit amount 10,000 for Lok Sabha, for Rajya Sabha it is for Vidhan Sabha it is rupees 5,000. For the Legislative Assembly or Vidhan Sabha of the state it is rupees 5,000. However, for candidates who are belonging to scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, the election deposit for Lok Sabha is 5,000. That is half of the normal candidates. And for Vidhan Sabha or the state legislative assembly it is rupees 2,500, that is half of the other candidates. So the election deposit will be returned to the candidate in case he secures at least 1/6 of the total votes that have been polled in that particular constituency. So if 1/6 of the votes are garnered or secured by the candidate of the total polled votes, then he will get the deposit amount back, or else he has to forfeit the deposit amount. This is done in with regards to ensure that no dummy candidates will put their paper. Okay, no dummy candidates should put their paper. So for that purpose this has been done. Next is verification and acceptance or rejection of the nomination papers. So the election commission will verify all the documents and the nominations of the various candidates of various parties, and if they find that all the documents and details are in line with the said norms, then it will be accepted. The candidature of that particular candidate will be accepted. If it is found to be misleading or if it is not in order, then the election commission has the right to reject the candidature of that particular candidate for that particular constituency, and the final list of candidates from that particular constituency will be mentioned or will be provided by the election commission to all the local citizens or the local voters of that particular constituency. So election commission will announce the names of the eligible candidates for that particular constituency. Next is election campaigning process. So campaigning, or in simple words canvassing for a particular candidate, the period is 14 days. So 14 days period is given for the canvassing or campaigning for that particular candidate of that constituency, and campaigning has to stop at least 36 hours before the date of election. Or in simple words, if the election is on day after tomorrow 7 a.m., which is the normal starting time of the election, day after tomorrow 7 a.m. it starts, the election starts, then today evening 7 p.m. the canvassing has to stop. That is 36 hours before the date of election, the canvassing has to stop. So next is the polling process. So polling takes place on a fixed date and time. So the date will be fixed beforehand and proper information will be given to all the citizens and or the voters of that particular constituency. So date will be fixed, place will also be fixed. Normally it is government schools wherein the voting will take place, and in recent times voting machines are used. Earlier ballot papers were used. Now in addition to ballot papers, voting machines are also used for elections. In certain elections only ballot papers are used, and for some elections voting machines are used. So this notification also will be given by the election commission beforehand itself. Next is counting and announcement of the elections. So the election commission announces the names of the successful candidates, or the candidates who have won will be announced by the election commission of India, and a certificate will be issued by the election commission to that particular candidate after his successful victory. So article 324 of the constitution establishes the election commission in India and the rules that is governing the rules and regulations governing the election commission of India. So the election commission of India controls the elections of president, vice president, Lok Sabha members and the legislative assembly, that is Vidhan Sabha members. And election commission is just like an independent body like the Supreme Court of India. Election commission is also an independent body just like the Supreme Court of India. So like I said, election commission controls the elections of president, vice president, the members of Lok Sabha, the members of Vidhan Sabha. It is an independent body just like the Supreme Court of India, just like the judicial system. Election commission is also an independent organization. It is an independent body. So the election commission performs its functions freely without the influence or the interference of any political parties and executives. So election commission is independent, and no person or no political party or none of the state executives can intervene or can interfere in its actions. So make a note of this, election commission is an independent body. It is free from the norms of the political parties and the state executives. Election Commission of India consists of a chief election commissioner and 2 other election commissioners who assist him in his day-to-day activities. So the president will increase the number of election commissioners if he feels that it is required, if the need arises. And president in consultation with the election commissioner appoints the regional commissioners for each state. So for each state there will be a regional election commissioner, and he is appointed by the president in consultation with the election commissioner. And the term of office for election commissioner is determined under the Act of the Parliament that was passed in the year 25th January 1991. So earlier it was the election commissioner did not have a term for his office. After 1991 January 25, the election commissioner office had a term. So like I said, after 25th January 1991, the election commissioner office had a term of 6 years. So it was passed in the parliament under the parliamentary amendment in the year 1991 January 25th. So after this, the election commissioner holds the office for a term of 6 years. The retirement age for the election commissioner is defined as 65 years, and his roles and responsibilities are to prepare the electoral rolls, to revise the electoral rolls in the sense, in a particular constituency, the number of people who are residing in that constituency over the age of 18 form the electoral roll of that particular constituency. So if you are migrating from one location to another location, then you have to remove your name from that location's electoral roll and add in the new location's electoral roll. So preparation of electoral roll, revision of electoral roll, allotment of seats for the Lok Sabha or for the Vidhan Sabha, then conducting the elections in a fair way, granting of recognition to the political parties, then allotment of symbols to the political parties and the candidates, and ensuring fair and free elections are the responsibilities of the Election Commissioner of India. So these are some of the major roles and responsibilities of the Election Commission and Election Commissioner of India. So with this we conclude this first part, that is election process. In the next part we shall see about the amendment process of the Constitution.